Have you ever felt like you were born without a shell? Maybe someone has looked you in the eye and told you that you're too dramatic or that you need to grow thicker skin. You've probably heard 1,000 times that you take things too personally or that you're just too much to handle. You've apologized for your tears that flowed quite easily and hidden your face when you got overwhelmed or emotional. But I'm here to tell you that the diagnosis the world gave you is a total lie. You aren't weak, and you certainly aren't glitched. You are what scientists call a highly sensitive person, or a super sensor. While everyone else is experiencing the world through an old-school television screen, your brain is recording every single second in 8K ultra-high definition. You have a high-performance radar system installed in a world that's built for basic radio. Today we're going to perform a forensic deep dive into your own biology to prove that your sensitivity isn't a defect, but a superpower that the world is starving for. To understand why you feel everything so deeply, we have to look at your hardware. Research shows that about 20% of people are born with this upgraded system. There are 3 specific upgrades in your hardware that explain why life feels like it's turned up to volume 11. First, your brain doesn't have a trash folder. Most people's brains are experts at ignoring things. They can sit in a loud cafe and not notice the hum of the fridge, the flickering light, or the fact that the person 3 tables over is having a bad day. Their brains just filter that noise out to save energy. But your brain treats everything as breaking news. You notice the texture of your shirt against your skin, the tiny change in your friend's voice, and the weird smell in the hallway all at the same time. This is why you get exhausted so fast. Your RAM is constantly at 99% because you're processing every single detail. This happens because of something scientists call low latent inhibition. In simple terms, your brain doesn't have that spam filter that tells it to ignore things it has seen before. For most people, once they know what a refrigerator sounds like, their brain stops reporting the sound to them. It's like a boring rerun they've seen 1,000 times. But for you, that hum is a live broadcast. Every single second, you feel the tag on the back of your shirt like it's a neon sign pressing against your skin because your brain refuses to delete the sensation. This is why being in a crowded mall feels like trying to watch 10 different movies on 10 different screens at the same time. It's a superlative amount of data, and too much of a good thing can be a burden. However, this lack of a trash folder is exactly where your genius hides. Because you don't ignore the background noise, you're the first to notice when a pattern changes. You're the one who realizes a friend is upset before they even speak because you recorded the tiny half-second frown they made when they walked in. You see the beauty, the patterns, and the solutions that everyone else walks right past. The second upgrade is that your empathy sensors are on fire. In your brain, you have these things called mirror neurons. They are the wires that allow humans to understand what someone else is feeling. In most people, these neurons work like a book. They can read that someone is sad and understand it. But for you, they work like a 4D movie. You don't just understand that your friend is hurting, you literally feel a heavy weight in your own chest. You're an emotional sponge in a world full of spills. Your brain is physically simulating their feelings inside your own body. It's the most incredible gift for helping people, but it can feel like a curse when you're surrounded by negative energy. Think of your brain as a high-definition satellite dish that's constantly picking up signals from every person in the room. Most people have a low-gain antenna. They can tell if someone is crying, but they don't catch the sadness themselves. But your mirror neurons are high-gain. When you walk into a room where 2 people just had a massive argument, you can actually feel the tension in the air like a physical static shock on your skin, even if they are both sitting in total silence. This happens because your brain doesn't only look at a person, it mirrors them. If you see someone stub their toe, your own foot might actually tingle. If you see a character in a movie getting bullied, your heart starts racing as if you're the one standing in that hallway. This is why you might find it hard to watch the news or even certain emotional movies. But don't forget the beauty of this gift. Because you're an emotional sponge, you're the only one who can truly make people feel seen. When a friend is hurting, you don't just give them a boring, "I'm sorry." You offer them a soul-level connection because you are down in the trenches with them. You are the ultimate healer because your hardware allows you to understand the unspoken language of the heart. You know exactly when to give a hug without being asked. You're a human emotional genius who can navigate the deepest waters of the human experience. The third feature is what people often mistake for being slow or indecisive. Scientists call it depth of processing. Have you ever been in a group where someone asks a question and everyone shouts out an answer immediately, but you sit there, quiet, for 30 seconds? You might beat yourself up and think you're not as smart as them, but here's the truth. You aren't slow. You're a supercomputer. While others are just reacting to the first thing they see or the first thing that comes to their mind, your brain is running a massive simulation. You're connecting this moment to memories from 3 years ago, predicting 5 different ways the conversation could go, and analyzing the hidden meaning behind the words. You aren't hesitating because you're confused. You're hesitating because you're making sure you choose the absolute best path. That's not a bug in your system. That's a high-level computation. You might be wondering, if this makes life so hard, why didn't nature just get rid of it? This is the most important part of the blueprint. Now, pause for a moment and follow this thought process with me. If being sensitive was a weakness, don't you think it would have been wiped out thousands of years ago? After all, nature is designed in such a way that our weaknesses are dropped as we evolve. But it stayed for a reason. And that reason is because the tribe needs you to survive. Think back to ancient times. The majority of the tribe were warriors. They were bold, they took risks, and they were great at hunting. But a tribe made only of warriors would be dead in a week. They would run blindly into a storm or eat a berry that looked fine but was actually poisonous. The tribe needed advisors. That's you. You were the one who noticed the air getting colder before the blizzard hit. You were the one who sensed that the person from the next village was lying about their intentions. Your sensitivity was the early warning system that kept everyone alive. The problem is that our modern world is loud, fast and aggressive. It was built by warriors for warriors. That's why you feel like an alien sometimes. But being out of place doesn't mean you are without value. It's like being a high-end sports car trying to drive through a muddy field. The car isn't bad, it's just in the wrong environment. Because you process everything so deeply, you hit your limit much faster than other people. When you suddenly feel like you need to hide in a dark room with noise-cancelling headphones, that's not you being dramatic. That's your system literally overheating. There's a beautiful way to look at this using flowers. Most people are like dandelions. They are tough as nails. They can grow in a crack in the sidewalk, in the middle of a parking lot, or in a dump. They don't care about the weather. They just survive. And that's cool, but you are an orchid. If you try to grow an orchid on a concrete sidewalk, it will wither and die almost immediately. For years, you've probably looked at the dandelions and felt ashamed that you weren't as tough as them, but science has discovered something called vantage sensitivity. When an orchid is put in a greenhouse with the right light, the right soil, and the right care, it blooms with a complexity, a color, and a beauty that a dandelion could never dream of. You don't need to toughen up to survive the sidewalk. You need to find your greenhouse. When you stop trying to be a dandelion and start honoring your orchid nature, you will surpass everyone else. You become the person who sees the beauty no one else sees, the person who understands people better than they understand themselves, and the person who creates things with incredible depth. So here is your forensic prescription. Stop trying to install a tougher filter on your brain. You cannot change your biology, and honestly, why would you want to? The world already has enough people who are numb to everything. We don't need you to be thicker skinned. We need you to be exactly as you are. However, you must protect your gift. You have to build boundaries like they're castle walls. You have to honor your need for silence and your need to pull away when the world gets too loud. As the old adage goes, silence is golden, and for a super sensor, it's the air you breathe. The next time someone tells you that you're too sensitive, don't get angry. Just take a deep breath, smile to yourself, and remember that they just don't have the hardware to see the world in 8K like you do. In a world that's becoming more disconnected and fake every day, your ability to feel is the most valuable thing you own. It's the very thing that makes you human. Because you have this high-definition radar, you might have instinctively built a wall around your life. You might be the person who watches everything from the sidelines, the one who scrolls through the feed but never posts, the one who stays quiet in a group chat, the ghost in the digital machine. To the outside world, it looks like you're shy, or maybe even stuck up. But psychology tells us that this silence isn't empty at all. It's actually a sign of a completely different kind of power. Are you ready to stop apologizing for your 8K brain and start building the greenhouse you were meant to bloom in? Like this video to join our tribe of super sensors and subscribe so you never miss another blueprint for your brain. Comment below with one thing that makes your 8K radar go off. Is it a certain song, a smell, or the vibe of a room? I'm reading every single one. See you in the next one.